Testing.
So we'll start with Dr. Amanda, just give a quick intro and brief bio, then we can move on to Veronica.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Amanda Kenya, an obstetrician and gynecologist. I have been in practice for the last 13 years, but I've only been focusing on menopause for about a year and a half. And it's something I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm so excited to be here and share all the knowledge I've gathered, which, by the way, was not from school.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Vero. I'm the founder of the Ova Circle. I always feel weird saying that, but let me rephrase that. I started the Ova Circle, but you women out here made Ova be what it is today. Thank you very much. So you're all part of the community building. Thank you very much. So where do I start? My journey is quite long, and I always feel like I take forever to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway, because we're here for storytelling today, right? Okay. So let's go. Breathe with me first. Let's take a deep breath. Okay. All right. 7 years ago, when I just turned 40, life was great. I was cruising along. I was one of those babes of 40 is the new 20, by the way. And I knew, yeah, my 40s are gonna be it, yeah? So my business was thriving. I was just having the time of my life, which is great, anyway. But let me rewind a bit. In my late 30s, I had just started a business, and I was also parenting. So my late 30s were quite stressful, quite hectic, and quite chaotic. Anyway, turned 40, all was good. But then I noticed my period was a bit irregular. So I did notice that, but then I attributed that all to stress. Yeah, I did not think anything to do with menopause at all, because that's what they tell you in the textbooks. Okay, if your period is irregular, it's stress. That's what I've always known. Anyway, long story short, but it's gonna be a long story, it won't be short. Bear with me, guys. Anyway, so I started getting an irregular period at 40. I ignored it and attributed it to stress. And then I noticed that my temperament was really, really erratic. I would have like mood swings like from hell, yeah? Again, I attributed to stress and everyone else around me. Everyone else was the problem but me, okay? I also hated my boyfriend at the time, all of a sudden. And he was the problem, again, not me. Okay, 2 years later, at 42, I noticed I started getting hot flashes. Every time I would drink wine, my face would like totally sear up. Hot flashes out of nowhere. And anyway, so the symptoms started just slowly developing with time. And I still did not attribute it to perimenopause or menopause. So it was just a very solo journey in the sense that nobody had warned me or forewarned me about any symptoms. So I was just moving along thinking something was wrong. I was also having a lot of like depressive periods, especially around the time my period was coming. I wanted to be by myself. I was always low, then I was always angry, irregular periods, then insomnia, and then I developed tinnitus. And every time I'd go to the doctor, they'd always give me something, but never tell me perimenopause could be the issue. And let's just fast forward. When I turned 44, I discovered that I could be perimenopausal when I was in a therapy session. And let me tell you guys, I just did not go to any therapist. I went to a hypnotherapist because I thought my problems needed me to go under hypnosis. I did not need a normal therapist. So I went to be hypnotized because I said I have some deep-seated traumas that just need to come out. Anyway, we did not get to the hypnosis part because I fell out with that therapist in a therapy session. And before I walked out, she told me, Vero, I don't think your problem needs hypnosis. I think you might be perimenopausal. And I also think you need to stop drinking every day because you're using alcohol to cope with your symptoms. Anyway, that stuck with me. I went and researched and I ticked every single symptom of perimenopause: insomnia, tinnitus, hot flashes, fatigue, night sweats, all, like literally the basic symptoms that you come across when you Google perimenopause symptoms. I had it. Low libido, mood swings, they were all there. And that's what started my journey of research into all things perimenopause. So, yes, and I think, can I say the rest is history? I think what led me to create the Ova Circle was the fact that I was dealing with all this by myself, and I had no community around me, a community that of a sisterhood that would tell me what to expect, a community where I can get the right experts if I need to seek medical attention. Like, there was really nobody, and I did not want anyone else to go through it alone again. And even people younger than me, I just wanted us to have this conversation, educate, spread the awareness, and just remove all the stigma around the menopause conversation. So that's what inspired the creation or the founding of the Ova Circle. I'm so happy to have everyone here today. My name is Veronica Nyakoboke, and I am the founder of the Ova Circle.
So, society prepares a woman for literally every single stage. You know, you get to your early teens or you're 10, 11 years old, your aunties are there throwing you period parties, and then you get to your 20s, 30s, there's baby showers, bridal showers, everybody's preparing you for everything. And then you get to your 40s and it's like you've been dumped and left alone, right? And you know, today getting ready, you know, you have to get ready slowly. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? Because you will literally melt. You will be coming out of the shower, dressing, and melt all the way to Village Market because you did not take 2 seconds to breathe, because your body needs you to take a moment. And I mean, for me, it's just to understand, Dr. Amanda, what are the things that we should be looking out for? What are the symptoms that we should be looking out for? And, you know, to give us that aha moment, like, okay, hold up. We're not okay.
Hold on. Can we just start with what is perimenopause and what is menopause? What's the difference? And then tell us what to look out for.
Okay, great.
Backtrack.
That's a good start. So menopause is when you've gone 12 whole months without a period. I'm not loud enough? It's the mic's fault, not me. And now? Okay. Menopause is when you've gone 12 whole months without a period. Right? So you can go 11 months without a period, and then it comes. Unfortunately, you have to start counting from the beginning again, okay? And this usually happens, the natural age, based on global statistics, is around 50, 51, 52 years. But the few studies that have been done in our population show that for African women, menopause happens naturally at around the age of 48, 49, so a bit earlier. And then even for other populations, like in Asia, it happens even earlier at around 40 years old, okay? So that's really important to keep in mind because many women think they're going through early menopause when it's the normal age for your race, right? So before menopause, up to 20 years before, you can be in perimenopause, okay? So that's like from the age of 30.
You said 20?
Yeah.
Come on.
You can be in perimenopause for 20 years, sis. You can.
Okay, hold up. 20.
Yeah.
Okay, how often do you see that though?
Not so often, but more often than you would think. Let's say that, right? Because you have symptoms, you're going to all sorts of doctors, being diagnosed with all sorts of things, you're on different medications for different symptoms, not knowing that it's just your hormones. And that's terrible, right? So anyway, from the age of 30, you can start having symptoms. And what are these symptoms? Usually, the first thing you'll notice is a change in your cycle, right? And this is how even I realized that I was having symptoms of perimenopause. My cycle changed. So usually it's going to shorten. So if you usually have a 30, 28-day cycle, you'll notice slowly by slowly, if you really monitor, it's getting shorter. So 27, 26, then you're like, oh no, it's just an off month, right? 25, slowly by slowly, as the years go by, your cycle is getting shorter and shorter. And this means that you're getting a period more and more often, right? Because we all associate menopause with less periods, period stopping, but you'll get a period more and more often. And it may be heavier than usual. You may have more cramping, which is really not what we want at this age. And you may even, for some people it's lighter, so everyone's different, right? But basically your period will change. And then you may start to experience hot flashes. You may not even know you're having a hot flash. It's a different experience for everyone. Some women say it's like a heat that starts at their core and then spreads everywhere, and it comes with anxiety and palpitations. Some say it's just a generalized feeling of being more hot than usual or sweating more than usual. You may experience night sweats. So that means at night you're drenching your pajamas and your sheets. You have to lie on a towel sometimes. And then for the rest of the symptoms, I'm going to do what I do in clinic with my clients. I'm going to pull up a sheet of the symptoms and we're going to go through them. And if there's anything you experience, you can just nod. Like, if you don't everyone to know, just do a quick little nod. Or say yes in solidarity. Okay.
Yeah. Solidarity.
Sleep disturbances.
Yes.
And this could mean trouble falling asleep or trouble staying asleep, right?
Waking up at 3 a.m.
Brain fog.
Yes.
Brain fog is memory issues, feeling like you're not as sharp as you used to be, performance-wise, what we call word finding, like you're looking for a word or a name, or you can see someone, you know them, but suddenly you don't know them. And something really important to mention about brain fog is for women, the brain fog is often worse at home than at work.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Somehow at work, you're able to keep it together and manage because your brain has told you, this is not a safe space for me to be foggy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I need to do my best. You keep a calendar, you're doing everything you can to stay on top of your game. But when you go home, when you're safe, you relax. And now everyone at home is suffering the consequences. And your partner is like, okay, how are you able to work? But at home, you're not, you keep forgetting to do this and that. Are you pretending like what's going on? Right?
Wow. Okay.
You can relate.
Scatterbrain. No, sometimes you enter the kitchen and you're like,
Why am I here?
so you reverse.
Yeah.
Like, okay, got it. Then you go back to the kitchen, straight to the fridge. You're like, that's what I was coming to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hot flashes,
Yes.
Yep.
night sweats,
Yes.
sadness or depression.
Yes.
That includes feeling suicidal at times,
Yep.
which can be very scary. Mood swings and irritability,
Yes.
lack or absent libido,
Yes.
no sex drive.
Yes.
Although this could just be that you have a terrible partner, so
Facts. Facts.
it might not be your hormones after all. Yeah. Anxiety or panic attacks.
Yes.
A couple of my clients have mentioned that suddenly when they get into their car and start driving, they get palpitations. Yet they are good drivers. They have no concern about anything. It's just random when they're in the car. And that's called travel anxiety, which is quite common during this time. Still not well understood. Weight gain or difficulty losing weight, especially around the central area. Change in body composition. So maybe you're the same weight, but suddenly your arms are a bit bigger or your upper body. Vaginal dryness during intercourse.
Yeah, bro.
Again, could be your partner. Leaking urine or not being able to hold urine for long. Like once you get pressed, you have to get to the ladies ASAP. recurrent UTIs. Could be your partner, but so vaginal irritation and itching, the vulva, passing urine a lot, even at night, waking up to go,
Yes.
yeah, bloating, constipation, acid reflux, food intolerances, especially to wheat. Suddenly your digestion is just a mess. Brittle nails, dry skin, unwanted body hair, loss of the hair you actually want on your head.
Hello.
Thinning.
Excuse me, doc.
What?
What about loss of underarm and pubic hair? Because what?
Is that a problem?
It's not a. No,
Isn't that a good thing?
It's a good thing, but this thing is really reverse puberty, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
everything is disappearing from the neck down. It's expected.
Yeah.
The nice one.
Yeah.
Baby hair.
No, all the hair.
No, mine's still there.
You're good?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
have the wigs.
Acne, adult acne, can you imagine? Terrible. It can be terrible cystic acne, like you're an adolescent. Body odor that has changed for the worse, right? Suddenly your deo is not working. Suddenly your sense of smell is even different. So you want a different perfume. Your partner smells terrible, although they could actually just be smelling terrible. But it could be your hormones, right? And then something very interesting, a feeling of crawling under your skin. A feeling like something's walking on you, then you look and there's nothing. Or like an insect, right? It's called formication. Formication, we don't know why it happens, but it happens.
Does it ease? Or do some women experience this throughout their
All this or
perimenopause
that
journey?
specific one?
That particular one. Or is it on a
Honestly,
case-by-case
I'm not
basis?
sure. I'm not sure. Dry eyes, itchy eyes,
Yes.
right? I know a lot of people who use the artificial tears. Joint pain,
Yes.
all the joints, including the fingers, the lower back is a joint, the knees, elbows, ankles. Unexplained rashes. Rashes, unexplained rashes on your body for no reason. Unusual fatigue, this is a big one.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not sure, is it that I'm overworking? Is it, but it could just be your hormones. Tinnitus, which you mentioned, that's a ringing in your ears or a buzzing sound in your ears that you just can't get rid of. Or sometimes just hearing your phone ringing when it's not actually ringing.
Do you remember you took me to a reggae concert and I had bad ears? Anyway, story for another
Maybe
day.
that was because of the reggae, I don't know.
That's what I'm telling her. You see, the music was really loud. And you know that leftover ringing
Yeah.
after a concert? And then perimenopause. So I think her ringing was like a week. It was longer than it should have been.
Yeah. Then there is burning mouth or dry mouth, so you have to keep sipping water. Vertigo, dizziness, feeling like the room is spinning. Every time you stand up, you have to steady yourself, or suddenly you feel like you're underwater for a few seconds. Migraines or headaches, which are new. Palpitations, that's feeling like your heart is beating very fast, or feeling like there are skipped beats, or an abnormal awareness of your heartbeat, right? Breast pain, muscle loss. Yeah, that's some of the main ones.
So,
right?
Doc, based on the list of symptoms you shared, depending on the doctor you see, it could literally be anything, right?
Absolutely.
You could go to a dermatologist because you have a rash. You could go, because of your acne, right? Or, you're having anxiety, you go and see your therapist or your psychologist. And this would lead to immediate misdiagnosis. And I mean, Vero, you have had conversations with different people who've been misdiagnosed.
Yes, also myself. I've been prescribed benzos, antidepressants, medication for my kidney because I was peeing too much. And antibiotics for UTIs, like, or a doctor will just tell you, you know what, just manage it and stuff like that. And yeah, it's also, I mean, it's really, really frustrating. Also, from the stories I've read in the community, a lot of women feel that they're dismissed, they don't feel seen, they feel misunderstood, and they just don't know what to do next, or who to see next. So, and this is just to further like stress what lack of awareness can do, especially for women in midlife. And you could think it's everything else but perimenopause, because you don't know. Being forewarned is being forearmed. So, and also even knowing what to do next, right? What are the lifestyle interventions? What are my options medically? And that's what I want us to discuss. Like, in terms of,
Here.
In terms of what can you do? What is within your control? And what are the options available for women? Yeah, can we maybe just go through the lifestyle changes, interventions that are available, what you would advise, and then we can look at the medical interventions as well.
Right. So I won't go into too much detail about lifestyle. I don't want to do Ashley's job. She didn't pay me. But the foundation of managing perimenopause and menopause is lifestyle modifications. And so I always say, instead of looking at when you first start experiencing some symptoms or you're at that age, instead of saying, oh no, now my life is going to decline, I'm going to deteriorate, let's use this as an opportunity to fix our lifestyle situations and make it so that we can live longer, better, right? So this is like a wake-up call to start eating healthy, to try and sleep better. So yeah, one of the first things we look at is our nutrition. Ashley will go more into that. But basically, processed foods, and one thing I tell everyone, you need to start journaling your symptoms. And it doesn't have to be such a big ceremony. Yeah, just have a little diary by the side of your bed. First thing you do when you wake up, just write a note about how you slept. Just the date and how you slept, like slept great, whatever. Before you sleep, just write a note about how your day was. Or I was really tired, or I was really energetic. And then as the days go by, you're going to start noticing patterns. If you look back, like the day when I had 3 chapatis, I felt terrible and bloated, and I was constipated for the next week, right? Or the day when I had a glass of wine, I barely slept that night. So just being able to know yourself a bit better so that you're able to make modifications that make sense for you as an individual.
Can I also mention tracking your symptoms is really important, because when you go to a doctor, you have a record of your symptoms.
Yeah.
Because you could be feeling good that day you see the doctor, and you tend to forget how chronically badly you slept over like 3 weeks ago. Maybe you slept well for 1 week. So it's really, really important to keep a track of your symptoms. That's another reason why. So when you go to a doctor, you can just show them, and they can be able to get a better insight of how chronic your conditions are.
Yeah. So, we're going to want to adopt something closer to a Mediterranean diet. We're going to want to avoid processed foods. I mentioned this the other day when we say we want to eat whole foods. And everyone has heard the term whole foods, but if you think about it, do you actually know what a whole food is? Ashley will tell us. You just ruined my thing. Okay, but let me just say, a whole food, and I hope I'm not wrong, I'm sure I'm not wrong, but a whole food is a food that still somewhat resembles the way it came out, the way it looked when it came out of the ground or from the animal, right? So does a chapati look like anything God created? Yes. Chapati it's manna, okay, fair. Fair.
People are going to fight.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
I'll take that. Yeah, so basically, a food that has not undergone so many processes and processing before it gets to your plate or your cup. Then when it comes to sleep, we want to sleep at least 7 to 9 hours. For a long time, women have been forced to fit into the little boxes that men made for themselves.
The male
You
cardiac
know?
rhythm.
Yeah, like women need more sleep generally than men. Okay? I like to say that I wasn't very focused on psychology in medical school, but one thing I remember is learning that we have long sleepers and short sleepers. And the reason I remember that is because I am definitely a long sleeper. Like I need 10 to 12 hours, seriously. And imagine that
Uninterrupted.
uninterrupted. My record is 26 hours. Thank you. What can I say? Yeah, so we need to sleep, and if you need help sleeping, seek help, right? You may have tried everything like the sleep hygiene, staying off your phone, having a nighttime routine like you shower, a nice candle, or lotion yourself and everything. It does help, but if that's not enough and you need help, please seek help. You need to sleep, right? And then stress management. This is not a time in our lives when we can allow ourselves to be drowning in everyone else's stress. And yet this is where we're more or less getting to the tops of our careers. We're moms, we're wives. So there's a lot going on and you really need to try and manage your stress, otherwise it'll manage you.
Does perimenopause make you less stress resilient?
Less stress resilient. That's a good, it could be either you're less stress resilient or life is actually just very stressful.
Or maybe your body is just not able to handle the stress it could handle when you were younger.
Yes, because you've been
Right.
handling it for a long time with regulated hormones, and now your hormones are not there to push you, you're very tearful, you cry at the slightest thing, very sensitive suddenly, or the other way around, you're aggressive and angry and, someone who's like, yes, sorry, sis. Right.
So when you say stress management, I mean, for me, it feels like, a buzzword, stress
yeah,
management.
okay. That's fair.
So how does one begin to manage their stress?
Yeah.
Like if you, Vero, if you were to share a way that you manage your stress, is it something that's globally applicable or is it a Vero hack?
These are the strategies what I did, working out, that helps manage your stress. I do a lot of breathing exercises like the one we just did before I started. Honestly, it needs a whole toolbox, Sleep helps you manage stress. All these things are really, really interconnected, right? I think also even the foods you eat, right, as well, they could impact your stress levels. And then I became way less stressed when I stopped drinking. That was really, really my number one issue in that chaotic phase that I was having. I'm not saying I don't have my bad days now, but those days were really, really bad. But the minute the alcohol went, a lot more things started leveling out. So I can honestly say that I do have more good days now than bad days. So everything Amanda said, like we've not touched on exercise, but strength training as well. For ladies in midlife, it's really important to lift weights. Before, my exercise routine was really, really all cardio. I used to run a lot. Like over 100.
10, 15 Ks.
Over 100 kilometers a month. But then I noticed my workouts were not really working anymore at that time. I'd feel more tired, I'd feel more drained, my recovery was impacted. And through research, I learned that I needed to shift my workout routine as I'm aging, I'm almost 50, so I can't be running like that. Just does not work for me anymore. So my focus right now is more on strength training, which is lifting heavy weights. I know Amanda will tell me, don't tell women to lift heavy weights. Some women will feel overwhelmed. I don't know why my voice has changed.
Is that how it sounds?
Yeah. but start where you are with what you have and progress. The idea is not to just stick with very light weights. If using, let's say, 4 kg dumbbells is what you can do right now, start with that and progressively add the weight as you get stronger. Yeah, that's really the science behind getting stronger. You really got to add the weight. So yeah, so we've looked at stress management, strength training, nutrition, sleep.
I wanted to mention,
hand.
sorry, a couple other things about stress management. Sometimes when you think about stress and managing it, we're thinking about what can I do to manage all this that's around me. And sometimes you're not thinking about what actually doesn't need to be there anymore, right? And so I find a lot, and all of these stories, of course, are from my wonderful clients, but sometimes stress management looks like divorce. Yeah. Sometimes it looks like switching jobs or quitting or doing something else, right? And it's scary to say or to think about, but you're not here to manage things that shouldn't even be managed to begin with, right? And so, like you said, when you asked, does it mean we're less resilient? Maybe we're just more aware also that I don't need to deal with this. I've been dealing with this for 30 years and I'm done.
Some women even move countries.
Yeah, and start a whole new life and a new adventure. So give yourself a new lease on life if you feel like you're drowning. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
And my mom always says that if it's outside of your control, leave it. Anything that's not in your immediate circle of influence or control means that it's not something you should be worrying about. And what you can delegate, delegate. Yeah.
Do you want to touch on, does anyone have any questions right now?
Oh yeah,
so
questions.
Far? Hey.
Could you stand, please?
It's about hysterectomies.
Mm-hmm.
So you say menopause will be 12 months without a period, but when you have a hysterectomy, at least a partial one, with your ovaries intact, you still, you're not going into menopause.
Mm-hmm.
But for people who've had hysterectomy, so I've had one,
Yeah.
so I know my menopause might kick in earlier, but how would you know? Like, there's no, apart from,
Great
of
question.
course, the perimenopause signs, which I can track,
Yeah.
but like, I don't have the 12-month timeline.
Exactly.
Then when I can say, okay, now I'm officially in menopause.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great question. So for you and other women who don't have a uterus anymore, they're not bleeding and they can't track that, around the age of 52 to 55, you can get a blood test if you want to confirm that you're in menopause. It's just one simple blood test and it'll let you know if you're postmenopausal or if you're still peri.
What's the name of the
It's
blood
called
test?
FSH. It's follicle stimulating hormone. And if it's more than 20, you've passed menopause. Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, thank you. Once again, I'll just remind everyone, especially for those that are just coming in, this session is being recorded. Thank you. Great, so we haven't talked meds. We haven't
Yes,
talked medical
we've talked about the
intervention.
foundation.
Right.
And we haven't talked about drugs. If you have moderate to severe symptoms of perimenopause or menopause, the first line of treatment for you is hormone therapy. Okay? And we call that menopause hormone therapy. We don't call it hormone replacement therapy anymore. And let me explain why. If you're a 30-year-old and for whatever reasons your ovaries are not doing what they're supposed to do, we're going to replace your hormones, which means we're going to give you relatively high dose of hormones so that you are hormonally identical to someone your age. But during perimenopause and menopause, when you have symptoms, we're only giving you a small dose of hormones to help your symptoms, okay? So it's not like I'm replacing what has been lost for it to be back to where it was when you were 30, okay? So that's the difference. It is the most effective treatment for hot flashes, night sweats, and genitourinary syndrome of menopause, which is the recurrent UTIs, the vaginal dryness, the painful intercourse. It's the first line of treatment, and it's safe. Are we going to talk about that terrible study?
We could touch on it a little bit because I know many women have heard horror stories about hormone treatment. So maybe just, yeah.
Right. So really quickly, in 2002, there was a big study, the biggest of its kind to date, that was called the Women's Health Initiative. And the purpose of the study was to see what are the long-term effects of giving women hormones. And so they collected a bunch of women. Only 7% of them were Black women, mind you. But they collected a bunch of women of different ages from about 50 to the late 70s. Some they gave hormones, some they didn't. And then they followed them up for years while on these hormones. And they stopped the study prematurely one day and put it out in the newspapers and in the media and said hormones cause breast cancer. Right? They said that they found that hormones cause breast cancer. This was everywhere. So women everywhere stopped their hormones because back then, once you got to the age of 40, 45, you were started on hormones automatically. It was the way to go. No one wanted to suffer, right? So giving women hormones was very, very popular back then. So women flushed their hormones down the drain. Doctors stopped prescribing them. Eventually, we stopped being even taught about it in medical school. And not knowing that about 2 weeks after that report was made, the people who did the study came out and said that that was actually not a finding after they analyzed the data.
So they said, oops.
They said, oops. And it was only a small section in a newspaper that no one talked about since. So even if you look for the person who did the study and you follow them online, you'll see that they said that is not what they found in their study, right? And on top of that, the patient selection was very poor in that study. They tended to give hormones to women who are much older than women we would give hormones to today. Like, we wouldn't necessarily start hormones in the 70s. We could, but that was majority of their patients, right? There are much older patients. There are patients who already had heart disease, who already had diabetes. And they were also using synthetic hormones, which we don't use much anymore. Now we're using body identical hormones, which are much safer. So basically, hormones are safe. If you feel like you are a candidate, which by the way is a you thing, when I said moderate to severe symptoms, you are the one who is going to say if it's moderate to severe. No one else knows you like you do, right? Yeah, so we are going to give you estrogen. Estrogen is what is making you feel, what is causing your symptoms. Almost all cells in your body respond to estrogen. So all these symptoms we discussed earlier is because when you're experiencing those symptoms, your estrogen is a bit low. So hormone replacement looks like us giving you estrogen, which can be given through a pill or a cream or a patch. And then if you have a uterus, we need to give you progesterone as well, because if we give you estrogen only, then the lining of your uterus will become really thick and you'll start bleeding irregularly. So we have to give you progesterone as well, which also has its benefits. It's quite relaxing and sedating, and so we give it at night. And then, if you also happen to have a low libido, we can test your testosterone level. And if it's low, we can give you testosterone as well through the skin as a cream. And so that's what it looks like. Every morning, you apply your estrogen cream and your testosterone cream if you're on it. And then at night, you take your progesterone pill, and your life has changed.
What comes first, lifestyle or hormones?
Lifestyle for sure. It wouldn't even make sense to start hormones if you haven't gotten the lifestyle stuff.
So I think that's a very important point because especially for the ladies who are not yet in menopause, you could actually, your lifestyle changes that you do now could actually affect the kind of transition you have. So that's just another thing I really wanted women out there to know, that if you don't make the changes, perimenopause will force you to. So I think it's important to know that. So lifestyle changes are key.
So, okay, so there's all these amazing medicines and medical interventions, but what does that look like financially, and what is the accessibility?
What about testing of the hormones on people in Africa? How much research has been done in that area?
Right, good point. So most of the research we have is on Caucasians, right? And yet we are now seeing that Black and African women experience menopause sooner, experience more severe symptoms, and experience these symptoms for longer, right? And so when it comes to these hormones, the standard dosages tend not to be enough, and if some of the formulations are not appropriate for our race. So we definitely need to do more research, and I think we're waking up now, and that's happening. But basically, the drug's safe, but we haven't really accounted for the racial differences in how these medications are metabolized, and how we're seeing that even in the States, like Black women will be promoted to supplements and black cohosh and soy isoflavones and so many other things before being offered hormone replacement, menopause hormone therapy, right? So it's quite unfair, but instead of being so sad about it and looking down on the situation, I can see that things are about to change. The fact that we're here today, right? Like, we're waking up and we're making noise, and things are about to change. Yeah.
Yeah, I think research on Black people, African Black women, would really be important, because also like how our symptoms manifest, you could have different protocols in terms of hormone replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even historically, women of color, Black women, were not always given the right dosage for pain medication or any pain medication at all. A lot of the earlier gynecological tests were performed on women, Black women, and there was no medication that was administered. So a lot of it is just a reflection of history and all the work that we have to do as advocates and, being in the medical field to change that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are doctors in Kenya doing in terms of menopause education? Where are they getting their education now? And is it self-initiated? Like, what's happening in the medical sphere?
Right, so most of it is definitely self-initiated. In gynecology school, like I told you, we had maybe 3 hours of menopause education.
Have you heard?
Yeah.
So your gyna had
Out of-
3 hours. 3.
Out of 4 years, right? And now, knowing what I know now, when I look back, I know that even those 3 hours, it was BS. Like, it was completely outdated information. So anyone who is offering menopause care here today has gone out of their way to pay for that extra education through online courses, and doing different things. I myself will be leaving the country soon to pursue further education in that, right? This is how I'm telling her. Yeah, I just found out. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Doc.
Thanks. So, so it's so unfair when you think about it, because you have your symptoms, right? You go to your nearest clinic, say AAR, for example, you say, hi, I'm having hot flashes and I can't sleep. You'll be given maybe 3 pills of a sleep aid, and then you'll be prescribed a menopause supplement like Menopause or Menopal, and you'll be told all the best. And you'll go home, you'll take the medications, you won't feel better, and you'll feel like, okay, so maybe I just have to deal with this, right? Because you actually gone to a healthcare provider Like, where else are you supposed to go? You've gone to where you're supposed to go, and you haven't got the care you need. It's extremely unfair. So since we're here now, let's spread the word that even gynecologists, right? Not every gynecologist has taken the time or cares about menopause. So try and see someone who knows, who is informed, so that you get the right, appropriate care.
That's why it's important for us to be informed.
Yeah, that's why we need to know.
Yeah, exactly. So we can advocate for ourselves. So if you go to a gyna who tells you, just survive,
Yeah.
our mothers did, you know that he's or she is.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily their fault. They're practicing based on what they were taught, like in the 60s, which is, people practice differently.
In 2025.
Yeah.
So, which leads me back to my earlier question. So we'll spin it right back. Accessibility, right? So now that we know, first of all, there's a lag or a lack of information in the medical space. These medical interventions that you speak of, what is their availability and what does that look like for the average Kenyan woman or African woman?
In terms of cost as well?
Cost, even just availability, where are we getting them from?
Right. So when I first started practicing menopause care, I found a pharmacist who would travel to the States every so often and come back with a suitcase full of hormones. And that's where we're getting hormones, right? You can't just walk into a pharmacy and fill a prescription for estrogen. So he was importing the US and UK brands, and that's what our patients were using. And that was expensive, right? So per month you'd be spending 20K just on your hormones alone, and that was getting really, really expensive for many people and out of reach completely for some. But now, we have a few people who are importing the raw materials and putting together the hormones in their pharmacies. And that's much, much more affordable. So it's generics. Because if we're using US and UK brands, it'll never happen. We'll only be like 1% of people will be able to afford this. But now we're able to get the same drugs prescribed appropriately per person, individualized, and it's working out really well. And it looks like 5 to 7K per month. Okay, that's still quite a bit.
There we go. It's still limiting.
Considering that insurance, especially our local insurances, are not covering, they're not refunding you. The international ones, most of them do. But Jubilee, for example, will actually insult you. Like, what do you mean menopause? What do you mean hormones? They're going to send so many emails. We're going to go back and forth. It's not going to happen. You're going to pay cash. And that's Nairobi. Like, those hormones are available in Nairobi. I don't know what a lady in Kisumu is going to do. I don't know what someone in Mombasa is going to do. It's incredibly difficult. So some of my patients who are out of town, we have to every 3 months they get a new stock being delivered. Like, the logistics is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And I hope it gets better.
So do you feel that this inaccessibility or lack of availability has led to, for lack of a better word, all these wellness and, the menopause wellness industry? Do you think it's opening floodgates to that? Even as Vero was saying earlier, how she went through all these round and round and round ways. How are we managing that? Yeah, maybe Vero can go first.
I think, first of all, I was listening to a podcast that said in Kenya, there's one gynecologist to every 100,000 women. Have you heard of that? And only 10% of women can access reproductive care. So I think the issue, even aside from menopause, it's a systemic issue. It's about access. What are our governments prioritizing? Yeah, you know, where are the lobbyists in parliament? You know, yes, we are talking about period poverty, but there's really no conversation around menopause education, menopause awareness, and health of women in midlife. By the way, we are like at our peak of our careers in the workplace. No workplace policies being formulated, so that's why the time is now for us to start lobbying people in the right sectors, yeah? Because the problem, it goes just beyond affordability of the drugs, accessibility of the drugs. It's about women, our reproductive health rights as well, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts from the top. Like healthcare in Kenya is just not, we're not doing great, right? And we are still working on maternal and child health. When are we going to get to menopause? Like, when is that ever even going to be a priority? So we really need to make noise about it. Otherwise,
yeah, and it you know, when we have these conversations, it feels like menopause care is for the privileged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and but we need representation. We need to know what the menopause experience looks like for different women. Yeah, honestly. I was just on my way here, I was just thinking about women who've actually gone through menopause without any support. Honestly, I was like, my hat's off to them. I'm not saying that like to tell women that you should power through or vumilia, but having to go through menopause without any support at all, information. Honestly, the women that were there before us, really, my heart and my hat goes out to them, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And just even for the younger women who are not yet there, just you knowing what to expect and what you can do in terms of lifestyle intervention to make your transition or make your bet slightly higher to have a smoother transition, that already is like more than half the battle fought. So honestly, the ones who have no access even to information really need all the support that they can get. And it's in having these conversations that the awareness can grow, yeah? And in talking to everybody also in your circles, that awareness can grow. We have to start somewhere.
Yeah, usually around the menopause age, if you have children, most of the time they're also going through their hormonal change of puberty or adolescence. So you have two different hormonal people in the home. We are all accepting adolescence stage, and we know what to expect, but no one is looking at mom and wondering why she's going crazy, right? A lot of my friends say their relationships with their moms, now that they look back, changed around that point. And now they have grace because they know what she was going through. But at the time, mom probably didn't know. They didn't know. And it was just a mess.
But even now, if you ask some of the older women in your circles, they will say, oh, menopause for me was fine. And then I'm looking at you like, do you know how crazy you were? Like,
right, because you remember those moments at home. And now that you're going through it, you're like, yo, I get it. My mom was not okay, yeah. Right? And because they were taught to power through, and because they were told that these are things that every woman just goes through, just deal.
And it's stigmatized because it's associated with aging. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we could take some questions if there are any. Please. Can we have a mic, please?
Okay, hi, my name is Purity. Thank you very much for just
hi,
the
Purity.
light you're shedding. And yeah, I ticked quite some boxes on the list that you shared. And my question is, it's clear menopause is coming, the real one, not the perimenopause. So when you start the therapy, at what point do you stop it? Or do you continue like a few years after? And then the other one is on the specialists that deal with menopause, because you say not all gynaes know how to handle this topic. So what help can we get? Where do we get to know who are the specialists that deal with menopause? Thank you.
Okay, great questions. So number one, how long will you be on therapy for? So you can start therapy and stop anytime you want for whatever reason, right? Now before, based on the old school teaching, we would say 5 to 10 years on hormones, or if you're in perimenopause and you start therapy then you continue up until the natural age of menopause, so you continue until 50, 51, 55, then you can stop because it's not safe. But now, knowing what we know, having the new drugs that we have, women are saying that I'm going to continue taking these hormones as long as the benefits outweigh the risks, which for many women is forever. Right? Because these hormones, if you have symptoms, they're not just helping with your symptoms, but they also have other benefits. They protect your brain, your heart, your bones, and they actually add years to your life. So women all over the world are saying, why would I stop something that is literally making me feel better, making me feel amazing? And especially because now we're having children later, we're focusing on our careers. We want to be stronger for longer, and we want to have a quality life for long. I don't know if you guys have seen or have noticed sometimes when you look at family pictures, you see as the years go by, the wife more and more starts looking like the husband's mom in the pictures. And then we're like, why are women aging so much faster than their partners? It's not just because they are working harder and being more stressed, but it's also because of the hormones, right? Although men also have their own little version of menopause called andropause. Maybe we'll talk about that another day. But basically, for as long as you like, you can be on those hormones, as long as there's no new risk that develops. And about where to find menopause specialists, honestly, here. No, I'm joking. There are quite a few. Maybe I can't, should I just mention them? Because like, you would find them on the internet. You would Google Menopause Kenya, and then maybe you'd find an article written by a doctor, or you'll find a doctor's Instagram page or a LinkedIn, and that's how you'd find them. But in the meantime, we're working on an association where like-minded doctors, not just gynecologists, by the way, also psychiatrists, orthopedic specialists, endocrinologists, cardiologists are coming together to build awareness and care for our Kenyan women.
Could you just talk about vaginal estrogen? Because I can't stop singing its praises.
Right.
Yeah.
From around, basically,
It's all right. We're good.
that is the power of vaginal estrogen. That's what we're saying, okay? If you are 40 years and above and you come to my clinic, for whatever reason, most likely you are living with vaginal estrogen, okay? Our genitalia, our labia, our clitoris, our vagina, which is actual passage, respond very strongly to estrogen, okay? So it is inevitable that eventually these tissues will start to age.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable, okay? So that looks like dryness in the vagina and loss of, you know those ridges you have in the vagina? They become flat. You're losing collagen. It's becoming thin and friable. You can even get little cuts just from having intercourse, right? Your labia, you know, when you're born, you have no labia minora, the small lips, and around puberty, they grow, and around menopause, they can disappear, okay? So we want to keep all these tissues healthy and plump and juicy, okay? So even the hole where your pee comes out of, it can become really friable, and that's how you keep getting urinary tract infections, and that's how you keep waking up in the middle of the night to pee, because your bladder is also responding to the loss of estrogen. So it's a cream which is applied twice a week forever, okay? Even if you don't have symptoms yet, they are coming, and when they come, they are progressive, and you're never gonna get estrogen back naturally. So That's why we use this cream, very easy to use, and it's an extremely low dose. If, for whatever reason, you're afraid to use hormones, this cream, if used as prescribed every week for a year, is equivalent to taking only 1 pill of estrogen. Okay? That's why even women who have breast cancer can use it.
I just want to tell the ladies here, you need to see Dr. Amanda for vaginal estrogen. 10 out of 10.
One day we were talking about it on the Ova Circle group, and then I don't know who texted who first.
I think I texted you first.
Yeah, you asked a question about the estrogen, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely prescribe it. I didn't think you would, but she did, and she cannot stop
Best
singing
thing
her
ever.
praises.
Best thing ever. Okay?
Okay. Hi, thanks for organizing this. And I have 3 questions.
What's your name, please?
I'm Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Hi. So the first question is the role of vitamins. Amanda, what's your opinion? There's so many for women over 50. I'm not yet 50, but there are times I wonder, should I buy or is it just, yeah? Then the second one is, do you believe in herbs helping the process? And the third one, if it's okay, is there like also, because I've really noticed, so I don't know whether I'm in the perimenopause, but this thing about having tea at night, except now when it's been so hot, but chocolate, like wanting chocolate a lot, I was wondering, is it psychological or is it like a nutritional deficit somewhere? Yeah. And my friend says you're a really good dietitian, so giving you her feedback.
Okay. Great questions, and I've definitely forgotten the first one.
Herbs. Your opinion
Brain
on
fog.
herbs.
Oh, vitamins, right? Supplements.
Multivitamins for women over 50, even if you're
Right.
not 50.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so basically from the age of 30 and above, it's always good to be able to supplement things that you're not getting from your nutrition. But number one, I need everyone here to find out your vitamin D level. Okay, that's another thing that I do for almost everyone. Many of us are walking around with very, very low levels of vitamin D. We work indoors these days, we're staying inside. We are not getting enough sun. And then because of the color of our skin, we're not able to make vitamin D as readily as Caucasians. So we need, and no one is saying, okay, it's 10 a.m., I'm going to bask in the sun for 15 minutes. We have stuff to do. So your vitamin D is probably low. Please find out. If it's low, please replace it. You would be surprised at what difference it can make. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it is a pro-hormone, which means it's used to make almost all the hormones in our body. It could be the reason for you feeling sad, it could be the reason for your depression, your fatigue, your poor sleep, almost anything. Yeah, the symptoms of low vitamin D are so wide. So please get that checked. Mine was low, and that's why I'm on a supplement. And the thing about supplementing vitamin deficiencies is most likely your life is not going to change in a way that will give you that vitamin. Like now that I'm on vitamin D, I'm not going to take it until my levels are normal, then I stop. Because I'm not going to bask in the sun. So I intend to continue taking it for life. So vitamin D is something I truly feel that we should know our levels and we should supplement if needed. Another good hormone for women in our age group is omega-3. Not 3, 6, 9, because omega-6 can have, Ashley is so proud of me. Omega-6 can promote inflammation. Another one is magnesium glycinate. That's really great for our hormones, especially for progesterone production. And this one I think is quite popular. A lot of women know about it and are on it. But at the same time, we need to be aware of the side effects of some of these drugs. Some people get palpitations and anxiety from magnesium, so it's good to be aware. Veronica gave us a really good tip the other day about when you're starting vitamins, start each of them at least 2 weeks apart. so that you know which one has caused what, which one is actually helping, what's giving you this side effect, right? Another one, so I said vitamin D, magnesium glycinate, omega-3. Ashwagandha is a great herb, and yes, I do believe that lots of herbs can help. Ashwagandha is great for relaxation at night and sleep, and then during the day it can really give you great focus, reduce your cortisol levels. And then Veronica is, I think she's being paid by whoever makes rhodiola.
I love rhodiola.
She loves rhodiola for
Energy and focus.
yeah, so that's something I prescribe as well. It's also great for ADHD, if you happen to have ADHD like me. Yeah, so those are the supplements and vitamins that I can recommend to almost everyone without reservation. But then everyone gets their own personalized care depending on their symptoms, you know, and what they're complaining of. And then your second question was regarding chocolate.
Or for Ashley. So it's still okay with me.
Sorry?
Sorry, yeah, my second question was, my second question was having this, really feeling like it's a craving for chocolate. And I generally don't have I don't take sugar and things, just by choice. So I was wondering, is it more of a nutritional thing rather than psychological? But I know that it's a question for Ashley, who I realize is actually my friend's dietitian. So I'm sorry. But you've answered the first one on vitamins, which I really appreciate.
Okay, great.
Yes,
So
yes.
Ashley will take that. That's great because I had no idea what I would say. Wow. Thank
So
God.
we'll just put a pin on that, and Ashley will cover that under cravings. Yeah. Great. So if there are no more questions, can we have just one more? Yeah.
Guys, this is your chance for like a free consultation.
There's no one-stop shop for all the supplements. Like one cannot just take one pill and covers it all, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. If you have symptoms, sorry.
So then what's the solution? Do you take some in the morning, some over lunch hour, others in the evening? Case scenario. When I turned 38, I just turned 40 a couple of weeks ago. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, so I'm on remission. And of course, all these drugs that I have to take over time, of course, different schedules. And then during that period, I got the hot flashes, and thank God that ended. It was quite terrible. So in my third year now, I'm thinking I need to slow down on what I'm taking for the remission. And having turned 40, you just mentioned that we have to be on all these, I think 8, 9 drugs. So what's the solution? Because it's quite confusing, it's encouraging, but also we don't want to be our mothers or our grandmothers as well. Thank you.
Yeah, she's asking, she's on treatment. How does one manage and decide when to take these meds, especially if they're having treatments or just generally?
Right. You're wondering about how to manage all your medications, which ones you're supposed to take at what time. That's probably something that will be discussed at length by your care team. If you feel overwhelmed, sometimes you're even put on drugs that you might not need to be on if that symptom has been relieved, right? When it comes to the different supplements, Ashley will go into that a little bit more about which one is best to take at which time. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, pop 12 pills, not knowing that 2 of them are canceling out each other. One of them is reducing the effect of one. Another one is affecting your birth control. And it's just a mess. So it's important to also know that as we're taking all these supplements and herbs, that we take them at the appropriate time. Which ones are to be taken with food? For example, vitamin D should preferably be taken with a fatty meal, right? but we are popping them on empty stomachs and hoping for the best. I'm not sure if I've answered your question, but maybe we can talk a bit later, right? Okay.
My name's Kate. I'm curious about the side effects of hormonal therapy. You could be winning on the managing the symptoms, but losing on something else.
Yeah, okay, great question. So like I said, for the hormone therapy, estrogen and progesterone mostly, right? So the number one side effect that almost all my clients on estrogen have reported is I felt weird. Even yesterday, someone just told me that, and I told her, can you please tell me more? Like, what do you mean? For the first few days of using estrogen, it's like a feeling of highness, like a psychedelic effect. Like you apply the cream and it's like, oh, yeah? Like your body is remembering what it's like to be normal, right? And so that you can experience that for a couple of days before you get used to it. Sometimes estrogen for the first few months as you acclimatize, you can have some breast tenderness, sort of like PMS symptoms, okay? But that usually goes away. And then progesterone. Progesterone is what usually has the most side effects in terms of hormone therapy. If we give it through the pill, it can cause bloating, a bit of constipation maybe for the first few days or weeks. It can be sedating and relaxing, so we give it at night. And then if you're not able to tolerate it still, then we can give it as a pessary in the vagina. So those are the side effects. Yeah. Manageable. Okay. They sound manageable.
This is our last question. We will have time, though, at the very end for questions covering pretty much the whole session.
Yeah, I have a very simple question.
Your name, please.
Oh, my name, please, Njabi. My name is Emily Mcharo. It would be really nice to meet someone who has been on hormonal therapy for long, to just hear their experiences. Of course, our bodies will react differently, but it would be really nice to just hear someone. So if you ever organize a session where there's someone who wants to share, we'll be very happy to attend. And then number two, what's the impact of all this on the kidneys, on the liver, supplements, hormonal therapy? What does that do to our kidneys, to our liver? Especially if you're saying, so long as it has benefits, let's take it for as long as we want to. Yeah, so what would be the impact of that on our organs? Thank you.
Great question. Hormones are safe, right? Unless you have any pre-existing condition, your kidneys will be fine, your liver will be fine, right? Obviously, every year you're doing your annual checks, so we're doing your blood work and making sure that nothing new is happening that could potentially be affecting you or that the hormones could be making worse, right? So hormones do not cause kidney or liver disease. What else?
Session with someone on hormonal therapy.
Yes,
we actually tried to do that at the Ova Circle with Jambi, but the lady was afraid of stigma and shame because a lot of her peers were shaming her for choosing hormones. So we will find something and organize it. Find someone, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of women do speak to us anonymously and share their stories. Very few are willing to speak out in public. And we hope that with the work that we're doing, we can remove a lot of the shame and stigma from just self-care. I mean, this really is just self-care and taking care of yourself because women's menopausal care is self-care and it is healthcare.
Imagine being stigmatized for taking up all
insulin. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about another hormone deficiency, thyroid. Many women have hypothyroidism, right? So we are giving them hormones. Is anyone looking around judging them? Insulin is a hormone that we give people with diabetes. Yeah? Birth control, birth control has a much, much higher dose of these same hormones than hormone therapy, mind you. Yeah, the risk of getting breast cancer is higher with birth control than it is with menopause hormone therapy. The risk of getting breast cancer is higher by just being obese.
Drinking alcohol.
Drinking a glass of wine every night puts you at a higher risk of breast cancer than hormone therapy, right? It's quite unfair, But with time, as we keep talking,
Smoking.
right, smoking.
Don't side-eye me. Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda. Thank you all of you for being such a lovely audience. We did have a little game planned out, but we're kind of slow on time. So we will see if we can have a little session maybe after Ashley's for a little game. And until then, thank you all so much, and thank you, Dr. Amanda.
Thank you.
Give her a round of applause. DJ.